Michael Carrick deserves an TD job after impressive stint as caretaker boss. After a 2-season absence, Manchester United are back in the Champions League. Interim manager Michael Carrick has turned United's season around after taking over from Ruben Amorim in January, and whilst long-term concerns are valid, he might be exactly what United need in the short term. Michael Carrick has succeeded as Manchester United's interim boss. The challenge when he took over in mid-January was to get more out of a competitive squad and ultimately qualify for the Champions League. And that is exactly what he has done. After their topsy-turvy 3-2 win against Liverpool on Sunday, Man TD have officially secured Champions League football for next season, and Carrick and his coaching staff have played a fundamental role in securing it. Under Carrick, star players like Bruno Fernandes, Matheus Cunha and Kobbie Mainoo have excelled in a formation and system that plays to their strengths. Out of possession, United have looked well drilled and organised, reminiscent at times of Gareth Southgate's England. Steve Holland was the defence coach for that side, and his influence on Manchester United's defensive setup as part of Carrick's backroom staff has been evident. Under Amorim, United often looked easy to play through, and with 3 central defenders, there seemed to be uncertainty who should mark whom. It always felt overly confusing, and Carrick and co. have done well to simplify things on and off the ball. Much of what Carrick has done seemed like an obvious solution. Moving to a back 4, bringing Mainoo into the midfield and moving Fernandes back to the 10 position were all popular demands when Amorim was sacked. But making those changes to the system and personnel is easier said than done, so Carrick deserves praise for unlocking the potential of this United squad. Fernandes has looked like the best version of himself in years, and a more mature player in and out of possession. Mainoo has added much-needed composure in midfield, and Cunha has adapted brilliantly to being moved out wide. Carrick's use of Cunha on the left wing, where he has asked the Brazilian to cut inside and cause problems, has worked a treat, and is another example of smart profiling by the former Middlesbrough manager. After a dream start to Carrick's reign with impressive victories over rivals Manchester City and Arsenal, United have struggled to recapture the brilliant performances from those wins since. Carrick and his supporters will point to the results as United have produced title-winning form since he took over in January, winning 10, drawing 2, and losing 2 of his 14 games in charge. And whilst it is hard to argue with that, the performances have been far from inspiring at times. United have become good at grinding out results whilst not playing well, with moments of brilliance from Fernandes, Casemiro and Matheus Cunha helping United win games that could have easily ended in defeat. The main worrying is that in the long term, United won't always get so lucky. Fernandes and Cunha won't always be in such a rich vein of form, and when that time comes, it is hard to imagine how United will achieve such good results without a clear identity in possession. As mentioned previously, out of possession, United look much harder to break down, as Holland has done a fine job at making them organised and disciplined. However, as with Southgate's England, that is largely due to how passive they are and how content they are to let the opposition dominate possession. Again, it has worked to simplify things this season and secure short-term results, but United fans will always demand a certain style in the long term. If by November next season, Carrick's side are still largely playing on the counter, the opposition are still dominating games, and the results aren't as convincing, how long before groans start inside Old Trafford? When will the chance of attack begin? On the flip side, there is a strong possibility that Carrick has a plan to play a more aggressive, high-intensity style of football next season with a revamped midfield, likely with a stronger engine room. Results will also be less critical in the short term, and he has a full pre-season to get more complex ideas across. In the week, several outlets reported that departing Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola is set to be Carrick's biggest competition for the Manchester United hot seat. With Iraola leaving the cherries in the summer, there is an opportunity for United to bring him in ahead of their pre-season. Iraola has done a brilliant job at Bournemouth, establishing them as a top-half side, just like he did at Rayo Vallecano in La Liga, whilst playing an attractive brand of football. Iraola has proven in his time in England that his high-intensity and attacking style is effective in the Premier League, making him less of a gamble than some other highly rated managers with no Premier League experience. On paper, Iraola's CV as a coach has seen him play a brand of football more suited to a club like Manchester United than Carrick. The only worrying would be whether the Spaniard can cope with managing one of the biggest clubs in the world, a jump that has proven to be the Achilles heel of a lot of coaches in the past. Those in the media and the manunited fan base who are in favour of Carrick getting the job would argue the former midfielder has already proven he can cope with the pressures and demands of the Old Trafford hot seat. Carrick does have a certain presence and aura reminiscent of a Carlo Ancelotti or Zinedine Zidane type coach, and it can't be overlooked how popular he is with the players. Being a great man manager at clubs like Manchester United and Real Madrid can sometimes be more important than being an elite tactical coach. That is why Carrick might prove to be the perfect man to take United forward and a better option than Iraola. If it is an Iraola versus Carrick showdown for the managerial position, then I would just about side with Carrick. The only coach that manunited should do everything to bring in if he became available is Luis Enrique. With Luis Enrique, you have a coach who promotes youth, plays an exhilarating style of attacking football, and is used to coaching the biggest clubs in Europe. He is also the best coach in the world in 2026, so there is that. If Enrique extends his PSG contract as expected, however, then Carrick has more than done enough to be given the permanent position. He might have a ceiling and might not be the man to take United to major titles, but in the here and now, Carrick is a much-needed presence after the turmoil of Erik ten Hag and Ruben Amorim. Carrick represents stability and progress at a time when manunited can't afford another backward step. Because if INEOS go in a different direction, and it goes badly, there will be a lot of head scratching as to why they turned down that progress and stability in favour of another unknown. Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be desperate to avoid another big mistake, just when things are starting to look up at Old Trafford.